Hello and welcome. So this particular tutorial is going to be around beginning to get your Webflow created product pages over into Shopify using Udesly 3.0 beta. Now, given the size that product pages can be and the multiple different types of modules and different things that can make up a product page, I'm just going to focus on that first section and then I'll break it down into different tutorials for the other remaining pieces, mainly because I don't think you want to listen to me for that long. So to start, what we're going to be looking at is getting like the product galleries working, as well as just kind of some basic product details that we can display correctly that you'd see typically on 99% of product pages around the web. Now, if you're a new viewer or you haven't done so before, please like and subscribe to this video if you find them useful. It really helps me out. And yeah, big thanks from me if you do. Okay, let's get started with the tutorial. And like we did last time, we're going to start with a blank template. And the reason why it's blank and we're not going to do here's something I did earlier is because I want you to see the step-by-step process. I want you to be able to take what I'm teaching you here and put it into your own products. This isn't about a design contest. This isn't me trying to show how beautiful design is. This is showing you the nuts and bolts of what you need to do in order to get that successful conversion between Webflow and Shopify. Okay, so first thing first, we're going to add some product variant images. And you're going to ask me why. And I'm going to tell you that a little bit later. But right now, just do it. Okay, so we're going to go into here, products. We'll check the first one. We'll go down to here. We will select the product variant. And I'm just going to drag these images in that were created a bit earlier. All right. Let me save that. Job done. Okay. Next things next, we need to start creating the structure of the top page. So we're just going to use our shortcut, Control E. We'll type in section. Then we're going to Control E again. We're going to type in div. We'll give those to our classes. So if you're not sure where these classes are coming from, I covered these off in previous tutorials. And basically, they're just very, very stripped back CSS classes. They can be anything you want. Again, don't get bogged down in the CSS or the structure of the page. This is just the nuts and bolts. You can design this how you want. It's just when you add in certain elements and you wanted to do something else, you wanted to convert specifically, then pay a bit more attention to those particular sections. So we're going to add in a content wrapper class, and that is that. So now we want to create this kind of grid, top level grid section. And I like to use CSS grid. Again, you can do it how you want. If you wanted to use columns, for instance, I like CSS grid because it's just really easy from a responsive point of view. That's it. Okay, so let's add a div, and then we're going to give this a bit of CSS. So we'll call it thing product grid top. Okay, and then we'll just give this a flex. That's fine. We'll get rid of that auto at the bottom, and then we're going to go in here. We're going to give it 100%, and that is that. Now we just need some stuff to nest our content in. So we'll do a div, and we'll just copy and paste that. So we have 1 and 2. This is going to be where we place our imagery, and this is where we're going to place our normal stuff that you would see in a product page. Okay, so let's start off with product price, and what we'll do is we'll group them within in a div so we can kind of control the way we display them. So we're going to add in a text block. We'll move that up into the div and we'll copy and paste it once. So this first one is going to be our price. So again, if you're not knowing where this CSS class has come from, it's previous tutorial. You can call this anything you want. And it just gives you the styling ability on the thing. It doesn't do anything to do with the Udesly conversion. It's purely just the CSS styling. It's not a prerequisite for the conversion. And the same with this one, compare price. Okay, compare price just has a bit of extra styling on it just to kind of do it. Now, all you need to do to get the price and the compare price to work in the conversion is go into your dynamic settings, get text from field and choose the price and choose the compare price. Job done. Okay, Next one, we want to add, let's say, SKU and the product vendor. So you would think you'd do it the same way, but you don't, because there's certain fields within Webflow that don't convert to Shopify. They have to be mapped with using custom attributes. And to find the custom attributes, you go to the Udesly University, we click on the Shopify thing, and we scroll down to products. And down here, you have all the different the custom attributes that you can apply to a product. Pretty straightforward. So we're looking for this SKU. So we can either copy the element or we can use the custom attributes. We're going to do the custom attributes way just because I want to show you how that kind of works, just to make sure that you completely get it. So we'll add another text block. Okay, and what we will do is we're going to just say this is an SKU, brackets and interesting number. Let's just correct that, SKU. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this with a span. You don't have to wrap it with a span. You can just drop in a text block or a div or something like that and apply the custom attribute to it. I just do it this way because it keeps it all kind of together. Right, so we'll select the text span, and then we're just going to go to the custom attributes and then go back to the Udesly University, and we can see this is product SKU. We'll copy the product one just by clicking it. You can see it's copied to the clipboard. Go across, paste it there, and type in SKU, which again, you could just go back and copy it and paste it, but it's 3 letters. You don't need to just type it. 3 letters. Okay, save. Job done. So now we can just add a little bit of styling to that if we want. So we'll just go to here. We'll say it's bold. Ooh, pretty. Not really. It's Arial, but I'm not changing the font. Okay. Next one else, we want to do the vendor. So we can just copy this particular thing again. We can change that to, let's say, made by. And we need to change this text span. Make sure you have the text span selected. Okay, and then you guessed that, we go back to here, and if you find something called vendor, you can just click that vendor, and then go back to our custom attributes, paste vendor, job done. Okay, next what we want is we want a name, a product name. So we will go into here, and we'll just choose a heading. And we'll move that into our container block. So we'll just move that and we'll get that into there. And this is quite simply, you just select from the drop down and choose name. There we go. All right, so now you want to add a product description, and you can do multiple things with this. And sometimes what I do is I create a custom field called short description. So kind of going into products and going into here, and you create a custom field, do it thing, you call it short description, and multi-line, save, close. Yes, I want to save the changes. And then I can literally go here and I can choose the short description meter field there, and that would load it up. And basically what that process does by adding those custom fields, it creates product meter fields that can be used to store additional data that Shopify doesn't normally support without a meter field. For this particular example, though, we're not going to do the short description. We're going to use the description. Now, the difference being, and the reason why I do the short description from time to time, is sometimes customers or clients of mine have lots of content that want to say about a product, and they want to utilize the description field within a specific product. So this area here, in order to add product information. Now, this is a WYSIWYG editor, so it's pretty useful. So you can do things like bullet points and tables and images and add videos, etc. So it's good to have that in a position of a page that isn't going to be so visible on the first thing, just from a purely aesthetic point of view. If you want that in the top page, then fine. But I generally, what to do is I ended up putting this particular description field into like a product's details section or something like that, and then I call that field. So for the placeholder, I use a short description, which would go there. But for now, we're just going to use description, and we'll move on. Right. The next thing you would normally see on a e-commerce page would be the button that allows you to buy something. Otherwise, it'd be pretty pointless. So what we will do is we'll add in a add to cart. Okay. And there you go. Now, for this particular tutorial, I'm going to duplicate and do 2 add to carts. And the reason being is I want to show you how you can get the different UI coming across. So with regards to the option list, you have two UIs. You have the select version, which is a drop-down, or the buttons. At the moment, you can only ever get the buttons out unless you add a custom attribute. So if I wanted to use the select one, which to be honest comes in quite handy specifically with clients who have lots and lots of product options, which can cause problems with how this is displayed on mobile or smaller devices. So if you wanted to get this into be displaying the drop down, I'm just going to duplicate this. We just go to the add to cart, and we just need to add a custom attribute called force select. Save. Done. So even though that this is now a button, it's still going to be a drop down. So, but to make it so it's not at all confusing, we are just going to select the option list again, go back in here, and we're going to say it's select. So this one here will now convert as select field, so drop down, and this one will convert as buttons. Again, you can tweak the CSS, make it look however you want it to, and it will come across no problems. But without adding that force select on the add to cart here, it will always default to the button. Okay, right. So that's pretty much that from a core structure point of view. Now we're going to get on to product images. So product images, there's 2 ways of doing it. The way that I prefer is utilizing what Udesly have done in terms of leveraging the CMS items and kind of packaging that up and exporting that into the relevant code. And it gives you a really easy way of visually designing the site without having to make any guesswork. The second way is more for people who have been a little bit eagle-eyed and looking at the changelog, and they're seeing something called product equals images or product equals image. And then you have another one that says offset and index. And what those do, if you're really interested, is allows you to specify to the Udesly application to not use their new way of doing it and utilizing Shopify's default way of doing it. So this could come in handy if you're trying to debug and figure out why a third-party application is not working with a product gallery, or for instance. I find at the moment, though, the easiest way to do it is to still use the CMS and still kind of link in with those particular things. And there's one little tweak to code, which I'll get into a little bit later regarding more images. But it is very, very simple and easy to do. So we're going to do that way first, and then I'll show you how to do the second one and go from there. So when we go to add images, you can do multiple different things. You can either add it into a slider, a image gallery. I like lightbox. I'm going to do the lightbox now. But again, you can pretty much do anything you want with regards to this. You just have to use the CMS to link it. So here we go. So let's use a lightbox and lightbox, and we'll give this lightbox a little bit of styling. So we will say it needs to be 100% width. We want it to be 600 pixels high, and then our image needs to be 100% width and 100% high, and we want it to be a cover so that it all looks nice. Okay, so the first way to do this is to literally first you got to click on the lightbox link, go to here, select media, and select main image. Now you'll see that it doesn't change the main image, and the main reason for that is you still need to specify it here. There we go. So now that's working perfectly. Okay, and so when you click on one of these option labels, this image will update with the product variant, for instance, and the main image that you assign to a product variant. Now we want to basically add a product grid below this. So what we will do is we will add in a collection list. Okay. Collection list. We will give this a little bit of margin, just so it looks consistent. Okay. And we will link it to more images. All right. And it will say this collection does not contain anything. So I'm going to just drop to something that we did earlier, this one here, and you'll see that the images that we added earlier on start to come through. Okay, so now we got something to play with and something to style with. So let's go into the collection list and we'll just create a lovely little grid. Job done. And now we need to add in another lightbox so that we can get that to work as well. So we'll just go back into here and we will choose our lightbox. And again, we just need to apply some styling just to get it to fill the space correctly. So 100%, 100%. Well, we'll do this as 250 maybe. And we will give this 100% and 100%. Okay, and then we just need to set it as a cover as well, so that we keep the proportions of the image, so to speak. So that is looking good. So now we just need to link it all up. So you guessed it, we go here, we get first on the lightbox link. There's two places we need to do it. We select more images, second place, and we get it, and we get more images from there. And we are now fully linked up. So we go there, it's not linked up. So we want it to be linked up because basically we don't want to have a lightbox that only works within one thing. So the cool thing about what Webflow does is it allows you to link with other lightboxes. So if we type here and we just type in, I don't know, we can call this anything we want, but I'll call it products. And I'll copy that. And then I go down to this lightbox here again, and I say link with lightbox again and paste. Now, when we go to click on the different images, you'll see they're all linked at the bottom, which is really, really handy and just makes common sense. Cool. So that's that. Now, one of the things that you'll see that in Webflow, it's pulling in this more images thing. So it's not referencing this primary featured image. When you convert this to Shopify, at the moment, is probably going to get changed. I've asked Udesly to tweak it to see if we can get the offset feature to work. Which, and if you talk, what I'm talking about is if you go into the custom attributes and you go down to the linked item, you would type something like offset 1 and then hit that as a save. Then what it would do is it would remove the first item. And the reason being, as well as kind of getting to, is that when you convert this, it will reference all the product images when it's not a variant image, and it will place them into here, but it will include the first image, which you don't want because you've got the first image already displaying. So sounds a bit complicated and confusing, but it's not. So, and you'll kind of understand why when I show you the examples. So why have I done it this way in terms of using collection item and the more images? Well, what this is doing, and it's really quite cool what Udesly have done, is when you create this collection list item and reference the more images, firstly, it will do a check and say, is there product variant images, the ones that are very specific to the specific variant? If so, it will remove any images that are additional in this media section. So it doesn't matter how many images you have there, and it will just show the ones that are relevant to the product variant. If there isn't a product variant image, it will display the images within the media field. So very useful. And the great thing about it is it does that for you. So you don't have to code that. It's just done. So anyway, so if you do this, looks good, and we are good to go. One thing you'll notice though is if we go to the empty state you'll see that it comes up with this no items found. Now, obviously, if you've got that present within the CMS here, it's going to come across to Shopify, and we don't want that. So what we do is we just get rid of this. We'll go down, we'll select the color, we'll make it white, make it transparent, and we will give this a height of 0 and a width of 0. The reason why I do that is so that there's no size attributed to that module, so you don't get any layout shift happening. And then we hide it. So now it's gone. So now if we go to one that does, so if I turn the UI state back to items, we see it there. And if I go to a product that doesn't have things, it's gone. All right, so that's that. And now I mentioned there's something about the new product images custom attribute. Now, if you wanted to use that for whatever reason, you can do this. You can add it to a div, you can add it to a slider, you can add it to a lightbox, you can add it to whatever you want, really, from as long as it supports image attributes. So, but we'll do this with an image. So if I was to create that, and I go, let's just pop it here for the time being, and I wanted to display a image or one image, the product image, so to speak, I would just go to the custom attributes and I would type product image and save. And that will just show, it will go and it'll create the a for loop and it'll just say, show me that image. If I say and add another one saying index 5, it will go through that and it will pull back 5 images. Straightforward. If you go into here and you change that to images and get rid of the index 5, it will now pull in all of the media images that you've put into your Shopify page. So it will pull in all of those. And then you can use quite handily offset parameter by 1, 2, 3, 4, which will then say, give me the images, but not the first one, if you said 1 or 2 or whatever you've done. And that's really useful. So, and I'm hoping that this offset 1 will start to, or this offset custom attribute will work with collection lists. And as I said, I've put this as a support question through to Udesly and hopefully they can implement it. But for the time being, I'm going to show you how to get around that. Okay, so there you go. So that's pretty much that from a structure point of view. Now, what we can do, just like an added benefit, we can add in a video module. Now, video, 3D models, and all this types of stuff is all possible, but you need to do it through a custom attribute and not through what you would expect. It's kind of like I want to add a video and click on this video module. It won't work. So what we need to do is we go back to our Udesly University and we scroll down and you can see something called external and video. And what these do is the external video goes to an external video like YouTube, and video, it does an embedded one. So if you go and you added a video using this one here, it would add the video through that and it would store it in your media files and upload it to your Shopify account, so to speak. Or you can go from here and you can go embed video and then you can add in a YouTube URL specifically to reference that. I'm going to do the embedded one and I'm going to do a shameless plug and I'm going to copy and paste one of my URLs. But so what we need to do is go to our thing and we're going to copy this external video. And you can see what this is saying is this requires custom CSS. Scary. No, it's not. You basically have to do one thing. And that's basically the problem is when you copy this across, it creates a div and you think, okay, that div is cool. That's going to give me the space and that's going to be where my video is going to go. Yes or no? It creates a container which then loads an iframe within it. And what ends up happening is, let me quickly paste this in and I'll show you. So what ends up happening is it creates this little container and then an iframe loads in, but the iframe and the content will only be a very small section. So if this is the container of the video, very nice, your video will be up here. And we want it to be full frame. So what we have to do is add in a little bit of custom CSS. But because the iframe doesn't come across with any definable classes, we have to target the HTML element. Now, it sounds complicated, but it's not, because it's an iframe. We target iframe. So let's just do a little bit of tightening up then. So we get that. Let's just give it a 16 pixels to kind of keep the uniformity of the grid. This we're going to call video contain product video or product video container. Can be anything you want. And that is that. So let's just go, we'll say it's 400 high. Okay. So that's all good. And we'll, we'll give it a bit of a background color so we can see it. We'll say that it's got 6 orders. And if we do that, we want to cut out the element on the inside. So we will set overflow to hidden. Okay, and the reason why overflow to hidden is because, as I said, it's going to load a container. It's going to load an iframe inside the container. So if you set overflow to hidden, we get the rounded borders. If we didn't, we wouldn't get the rounded borders. Okay, right, so that's that. Now, we can see here, when we go into custom attribute, you can see it says product equals external video. So all good to go. But now what we want to do is, what happens if there isn't an external video? We would constantly have this particular thing, which would be rather irritating. So what we can do is we can add something that's quite cool, which is called conditionals. And you can see these conditions over here. And these are extremely powerful in creating flexible templates that you can switch things on and off. So it doesn't mean you don't have to create a new product template, a new product template, and a new product template just to support a new feature set. So features and benefits, specs sheets, videos. So what we want to do is we want to create a meta field, so a custom field that we can then drive the conditional based on it. So easily done. So we go over to our products. Let's go into here, scroll down to our custom fields, and we'll add a new one, and we will say it is a switch, and we'll say, call it show video. Okay. Now, if you use the legacy version of Udesly, you would have had to leverage a metafields guru or something on the lines of that. And basically what this process is doing is it's replacing that requirement for needing that custom metafields editor. Since Shopify 2.0 launched as well, the reliance on product metafield kind of applications is diminished because they're now handling that natively. However, the Udesly app does a really great job of creating and helping you kind of build those conditions without having to really dig deep into the code. There is obviously some limitations. You can only have 30 fields, but what you can do, and I will do a separate tutorial on this, is you can create like maybe a handful of the ones that you need for, like, say, for instance, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, feature 4, and then just swap those out with other meta fields later on easily enough. Anyway, so what we've got here is we've got our two things. We've got our short description and our show video. We just need that show video for the time being. So we'll save that collection. And what we will see is if we go into our product again, we'll go into our products. We'll choose our unbranded one, and we will say that we want to show the video. Save. Okay, close that. Now what we want to do is we want to add a condition to this. So we just literally go down and we choose, let's say, where is it gone? Where are you hiding? Show video. And we say, show video is on. Good. All right. So we can see it's there. But now if we go to another product, it's not there. And the cool thing about those conditions is that basically, because it's happening on a server-side point of view, it won't render that module within the front end. So you get no drawback of having those things present in with your template, because they won't be displayed based on the server-side language portion. So that it never gets to the front end. So you get no issues with page speed. Good job, Udesly. Okay, so there we have it. We have our video, and that should all be good to go. Right, so the next thing we need to do is add that custom CSS that it scarily references, but it's not. So it's that little bit, we want our video to be that full width and height. So we need to be targeting that iframe. Now you can do it in two places. The first one is you can do it with with an embed code. So embed, and you could add it there, and you could put this particular snippet into that. But because why you would do it in here is normally because you want to see the CSS changes happen on the page while you're designing. So for instance, you wanted to do some convoluted gradient texture or whatever it is, or you wanted to customize whatever, you would see it happening in the browser. But because we're not going to see that within here, because this is loading an external resource once it's published to Shopify, we just need to have that code present so that it works. And we don't really want it bogging down or being in here. So let's do it another way. So we go into products, click on the little template. So this is a pages template, and we scroll down to our head tag. And all we need to do is add in our style tags. So open and close it, style. And then within here, we need to type in iframe. Open, close the curly brackets, give it a couple of spaces. I'd like to tab it in just from makes it easier to read. And we're going to say width is 100% and height is 100%. I feel like I'm in the Matrix. No, that's it. There's nothing more complicated to it. So now all it's doing is it's saying that everything that's labeled iframe, that has an iframe tag, that has iframe, well, on this particular page needs to be 100% width and height. Easy. That also is relatively forward-looking in case you ever use other iframes, because they'll just be set at 100% width and height. Then you just create and control their height based on their video on their container, which is much easier. Okay, so now we're done. And what we need to do now is add in our custom attributes. So we literally go up here, we choose our custom attributes. Again, if you're not seeing this kind of awesome job type of thing and it's giving you an error, just wait a little bit longer or refresh the page, or publish the page, and it will work. Okay, that's that. So now we're going to need to export the code. Okay, and we download it. And we have our two files that we need to do the conversion. So we head on over to our Udesly app. We drag and drop our zip file in there, and we need to select the theme configuration. It's going to be the top one always. And hit convert. Conversion is going to run. And we need to hit download. Make sure that you have the Udesly app installed on your Shopify store if you haven't done so already. And you just literally click on that and just add the app. That's the only way to get to it for now. So don't try and search for it within Shopify. Okay, so we have our files. Let's head on over to Shopify, and we'll go to our online store. We'll leave that page. Okay. And we'll go down and we'll just upload our new template. And once that's finished doing it, we will publish the page. Just so it's done. And then we just need to drag and drop our JSON file into the Webflow importer. Okay. Oh, my bad. Drag and drop into the Webflow importer. It'll start syncing all the data, and this creates those metafields that we were talking about, those custom attributes, those custom fields that you created in Webflow, and creates those into the Shopify metafields that can be used. And there's a specific place where you can edit them specifically that you need to know if you're trying to add variant images, which we'll show in a second, and also enabling and toggling on that video. Okay, so that's all done. So let's go and tweak some of our products, and we just make sure that we have those bits in. So if we look at our product, so let's say we'll add this one, we'll add a video to this one. So I'm just going to grab a YouTube video. Shameless plug. So we'll grab that. And we will go in and we've got that kind of copied and pasted. So now we have this handmade tile, blah, blah, blah. So this has got product variants. So we'll have a look at that in a second. But first things first, let's just turn on that video module so we know that we can see it. And you can see basically what I did there, if you missed it, so I'll go back, is you have this more actions area. And this is how you access the Udesly Shopify metafields. You can add these through the metafields in the settings here, but you lose some of the cool custom abilities that the Webflow app provides, and that's like things like adding and deleting the imagery and stuff like that. So for best case at the moment, just to still use their app. Okay, so we'll go back into that one, and we'll say edit product metafields. And you'll see here it says show video. So we will show video. And then if I wanted to add that short description, that's where I would add the short description that I talked about earlier. But we're not going to because we didn't use it. Okay, so that's done. So now it will show a video. So that module is now present. All right, so let's go back to our products. And we want to add in that video. So we'll go down, click this drop down, add embed video, copy and paste that. And then the video should display shortly. Imagine we scroll down, you'll see that the video has been added to the thing. Okay, so that's that. Now what I want to show you is the per product variant images, and this is the something that's kind of important. So if we open one of the variants, you will see that if you go into here, I'm going to right click this and open a new tab so I can jump backwards and forwards. So you will see this thing here. It says more images, file source, file source. So if we delete those, for instance, and this is why you utilize the Udesly Webflow importer to manage the metafields and not the native metafields editor that Webflow provides, is because you have this additional UI elements. So let's add an image. So this would be specific image for this specific variant. So we can add, let's say 2, and then where you go to add the images, if you go down to settings, just right clicking and opening it for easy and copy and paste. And then you go and you find files, and then you're given all the images and you can upload as many as you want. And you're given the image that you can copy and paste. So we'll just copy this link by clicking the icon. We'll go across, we'll paste that there. And then we'll copy this one too, and we'll go across and we'll paste that one there. Easy peasy. Then just enter your alt tags. And hit update. Okay, you can create as many of those as you want, really. We haven't given any limitations within our template. It will just keep creating them in the grid. That's why it's quite nice to use grid, because it auto flows really nicely. Okay, so that's that. So now let's actually have a look at these products and see what they look like. So the first one is the normal product non-variant. And you can see that, okay, yes, I've got the two of those there, and only one is relevant. So you would only ever have one just again. So, but you can add your quality, add your cart, etc., and you're good. We've got all of the items that are displaying correctly. That's one hell of a discount. We've got the SKU, and we've got the vendor showing, and we've got the name coming through. It doesn't have a product description, so we'll need to add a product description within the products. So if we go into here and we were to add in a product description here and save, and then if we go back to this page and refresh it, we'll see our description should show. And then we can see our description shows. Okay, so now everything's looking good, but we can see that this is what I was saying. So the first image within that grid is the same image that's in the first image, which we don't really want to happen because it's just a bit absurd. Why would you do that? And you can see it's even in the lightbox, it's loading it twice. So the way to get around this, so as I said, I've asked for Udesly to add in that offset custom attribute just for once again. And until that's done, you just need to tweak this slight tweak of the custom code. No drama. It's not that difficult once you know what to do. So if we go to our online store, let me get rid of this bar at the bottom, and we go into our online store, we go edit code, and we go down to our products. And now it looks really confusing, but it's not. So what we're looking for is something that's quite specific, and we were looking for this for set items in set items. So, and basically what it's doing is it's going for a for loop, and it's saying for the set items, specifically we're looking for the one that says product images. For set items, so for the product images, give me those images basically. Now there's two that you need to be aware of within this current structure. The first one is this assign. So you've got another one here for set items and set items, but then it's talking back to this where it's defining set items equals product selected or first available variant metafield Udesly more images. So that's dealing with our variant images, and we don't want to offset that because we're only given the images that we're putting up there. So we want to offset the ones that are product images, which are the ones that are coming from this section here. So where we upload those, we want to offset that. We don't want the first one to be showing. So when we scroll down, if you see here, you can see here it says template else assign set items equals product images. So we know the next one down, which is this for set in set items, we want to offset that. We just want to say not number one, please. So quite frankly, just go there, put a space after the S, type in offset, colon, and 1, and hit save. Fini. Cool. All right. So now that's done. So, and now we go back, refresh, and you can see that it's been removed from that grid, and it all looks good. All righty. So now let's see. Let's go to our product variant page. So we will just copy that for the time being, and we'll go into here, and we'll add in a description. This is the one that's got the product images and the video that we've kind of ticked it through. Now, the thing to remember is, although all of these images are shown in the media field, because there's product variant images defined, it won't show these ones. If there was product variant, but no image defined on a variant, then these would display. If there was no product variant at all, then these would display. So as soon as you add the images to here by the edit variant, and as soon as you add these images in here, they will override all of the other images that are present, and it will be only visible based on the variant selection that you've chosen. So let's preview that. And here you go. So we've seen our images are coming through, and we can click through, no drama, it looks good. And if we are choosing this, our images are updating. And if you notice underneath, we have our images present here. And as soon as I click on another one, the product variant images disappear because there is no variant images associated with this particular variant. But as you can see, the more product images aren't being pulled. So the media product images aren't being pulled in either, which isn't a drama because basically we've told it not to do that. And then there's that video that we did, and you can literally play it and use it how you would. And then now, as you can see, here's our two different versions. So we can use the drop-down selection, or we can use the button selection based on what you need. And so that's it really. It's not very complicated once you understand the path. But there is more to the pages that we can do, obviously. There's things like the product grids. There's things like how do we do like a specs tabs and stuff like that, which are quite handy to have on a website. And I'm going to go through and cover those off in separate sections. Again, the power of conditionals is really, really, really awesome to have, because it means you don't have to develop multiple different templates and service multiple different templates. You can basically create blocks or sections of elements and hide them and unhide them based on a metafield or on specific conditions. So great job, Udesly. So yeah, that's it really. If you like the tutorial, then, and you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.